You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the July 26, 2023 meeting of the LaPorte County Construction Rail Plan Commission. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
We'll call to order the Construction Rail Planning Committee meeting, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Joe Core,
Present.
Russ Klozinski,
Present.
Justin Kyle,
Keel and
I'm
present.
sorry, Randy Novak,
Present.
Bill Dobbin, Mike Riley,
Present.
Mike Rosenbaum,
Present.
and Tom Fath.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Excellent. We'll start with introduction of members. Randy, you want to start first, and we'll just go down the line.
My name's Randy Novak. I was born in 19... Oh, no, no.
The long
Novak,
introduction,
County
please.
Council, yes.
Mike Rosenbaum, County Council President.
Tom Fath, New Durham Township Board.
Justin Keel, LaPorte County Council and President of the Redevelopment Commission.
Mike Riley with LaPorte Economic Advancement Partnership.
Joe Core, local residents, past board member for the Rail Committee.
Russ Klozinski, original member of the Rail Committee.
Okay, thank you guys very much. Up next is selection of chairman. Someone want to put forth the chairman?
I would not... Russ was the chairman before, and Russ did a fantastic job. I'm not... Nothing political, nothing else. I don't even know what party he belongs to. He did a fantastic job, and I would nominate Russ.
I'll second the nomination.
Russ, are you cool with this nomination? Okay, there's a motion and a second. Are there any other nominations? If not, we'll close nominations. All those in favor of Russ being in charge of running this meeting?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Okay, Russ. All yours.
Good seeing you, Justin.
Okay. All right, well, next thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes.
But we have none.
Prior meeting.
We don't have any.
We,
They're in,
we,
they're in,
there,
they're in the packet, I believe, from the August, it's actually the August 26th, 2020 meeting. I believe there's only 4 of us here that were at that meeting, so I guess the motion, the second should come from those people.
Motion approved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the minutes? If not, they'll stand as read, I guess. Old business. Is there any old business to come before the committee? No? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. New business, Kingsbury Elevator, a rail project presentation. Doug Beachy. Doug?
Thank you. I'm Doug Beachy, Drayton, Beachy, Sorogo, and Elliott. I represent Kingsbury Elevator. We ask that the rail committee be reassembled, and thank you for your time. As we all know, the KFP project's been going on for a while, and the Lindborgs are ready to break ground. In fact, they've hired Delta 3. But I went back through the bylaws, and this has to be passed by the rail committee before it can go to redevelopment commission, okay? I've already drafted an easement, which I've given to Guy DiMartino. We've agreed on the language. That would be the easement agreement from Kingsbury. And let me tell you what they're doing in case not everybody's familiar. Kingsbury, they already have the rail yard for the cars. They want to bring in 100 cars at a time. So you have the engineering plans here. It's been submitted and approved by CN. So CN is good to go with the designs and all the specs. Kingsbury is going to do this in 2 phases, but let me tell you what they're going to be bringing in. They're going to be bringing in animal feed, nitrogen, and they're looking at future expansion. They're out of space in their current space where they are, where the rail yard is, but they also own other land in the park. So we're going to have CN access, first class rail access, but we've got to close this loop in order to do so. JBC will also greatly benefit from this project in that they'll be able to get to the CN switch, and we all know we have the CSX switch coming on the other side. So this is gonna be significant from the park, and how many years have we been working on this? And this is one of our major steps. I understand the bridge money, I'm not involved, Matt knows on the bridge, but I think that's good to go, so the bridge is good to go. Kingsbury's ready to go. They've already retained Delta 3 to start on excavation. I hope to have at least informed, the lawyers agree on the easement. So our goal is to get an approval from you folks, move on to RDC, get the easement in place, and then Kingsbury can get to work. Phase 1 will go through Markman Pete, or stop just about at Markman Pete. They're going to go through Cheers, and then phase 2, that will be, and hopefully next year, that'll take it all the way to either the DNR board or the bridge board. I'm geographically challenged, by the way. But so then Carol will pick it up from there, okay? And as part of the process, as I foresee it, and we're welcome for suggestions because this is the first time that we're doing something like this, I contemplate an agreement between JBC as a switcher and Kingsbury as a user. So there will be a switcher agreement, not with the county, but between the entities. That leaves the county out of it. They don't have to mess with any of it.
Good job.
I think that's the cleanest way to do it. If you want to do it another way, we can, because we're still drafting the documents and figuring it out. But I think we got it figured out. We need your approval for the rail plans, which are for both phases, and then we can take on the next steps. Okay? And this is important. Kingsbury's out of room. And they have been growing like gangbusters. So this also allows them for future expansion on their future projects for other land that they own in the park. So it connects everything up. Alexander Chemical is also benefited by this. And there's something that I don't want to misrepresent anything, but they need rail also for their continuing business operations. There's some kind of configuration, okay? And the substances so if we don't do this and get this done, Kingsbury's going to have to split their cars into 25 car increments for 4 times. Not only for Kingsbury, but other members of the park. This is going to greatly reduce the amount of cost to bring things into the park because right now we only have one vendor doing it. And the ability to only do it with this one vendor, okay? Let me make sure I got everything. I think that's what we have for now. Any questions?
Not a question, but Mr. President, I'm probably the longest person here that's been involved with this. This all came about years ago when Joe Donnelly was running for congressman. How long has that been? 20 years? 15, 20 years? We talked about doing this. Quite honestly, I think the county should step up at this point. I'm certainly in favor of it to help Mr. Lindbergh and JBC Rail and whoever else is involved out there trying to put this park together. I think to bring the CN in right now would be a marvelous thing for LaPorte County. So I'm gonna make a motion that we accept Mr. Lindbergh's request and move forward with this as a rail committee.
Second.
But I have questions.
I second
We
it.
have a motion and a second, and then we'll open up for questions. Now we have a motion and a second. Other questions?
Okay, please explain what you're referring to, is what property is the easement? Is it just to use the rail? Is it a specific property? Because I can't tell by this map here.
Neither can
So I would feel much better just getting to get a better picture.
So what the county's been doing, okay, we have the bridge. There was a condemnation proceeding against the front part of the property on Cheers. So, well, Randy, you might remember when the
So
council paid the money to buy part of the track.
I'm very well aware of that.
Yeah.
Is that the property that we're talking about for the
Yes,
easement?
so now we can connect everything up finally for the first time in years and after a lot of effort. So there's a combination of LaPorte County owns some of it, some of the rail. They own some easements, but there's no track in any of it. But the whole point of getting these easements was so that track could be built. So what we foresee is Kingsbury's going to build the track. They're going to maintain the track. Okay, and because the county's made the effort to make that access area clear. Okay, and so what we contemplate is a 100-year easement. Okay, because that's roughly the life of the track, okay? And if I wasn't clear, the reason I'm here asking is because I read the bylaws. We were ready to go ahead, and I noticed the bylaws, oh, wait a minute, the rail committee has to approve this. You have the ability to hire an engineer to review this, but CN I keep saying CNN. It's driving me nuts. CN.
You watch CNN too much.
Yeah, I do. Well, that and Fox, you know. But so CN, being a first-class railroad, has reviewed all of the engineering and approved all of it. I think it would be redundant and expensive. I mean, it would have to be a Kingsbury expense, but you already have a stamp of approval from a first-class railroad.
Other questions?
Mr. President, for me, just to kind of support what Doug is telling us, quite honestly, I don't know who we would hire to do any better job than CN has already done. There's no reason not to approve this.
Okay.
So,
Any other questions? Are we ready for the vote? Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second.
Ms. May, you got something for this, Matt?
Just a comment that is in keeping with what Attorney Beege was saying in, the idea of the park from the outset, and some of the challenges, quite frankly, had been common ownership of the rail in and out of the park, and who, the ever-present who controls the switches. And I think what we've done over the past handful of years has mitigated some or all of that, and with proceeding forward and having the support of not only Kingsbury Elevator but JBC as the switcher, we're getting to the point where where it was envisioned, which is connectivity to not only CN, CSX, but continued service by Anacostia into the park, and not having any type of roadblocks, or as some people were calling them, toll booths, having the ability to construct those. We were careful when the grant was awarded from the IEDC to do the $1 million to fill in part of the holes, and we're being very careful about this too. I know that Attorney DiMartino and Doug Beege had been working hard on what makes the most sense to do this without mitigating any of the opportunities for growth in the park. I believe that's been achieved. I don't want to speak for the attorney, our attorney here, but I know that having the ability to utilize the rail as a means of marketing and facilitating growth and development of the park is getting awful close. So that's all I had to add.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, since we have not seen the actual document or the easement, if we can make the motion subject to the attorney's review, which we believe it's already done, but it just takes a little away from us of having to say that we've seen something.
You okay with modifying your motion?
I'm good with that.
Okay.
And then we have one more question after that.
So my question is, I just want to make sure, because of some of the past history of the park years ago, and I guess I should look at Joe and Russ, because they're like the only ones that, and the gentleman and the lady in the back. I just want to make sure that it is now. When there's no, with Ed controlling the CN switch, there's no chance with everything that we've done out there that Ed would have a bad day and go, nobody gets to use the switch. I mean, is that?
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He's not. Okay, go ahead, Doug. No, go ahead.
No, Ed doesn't own the CN switch. CN owns the switch.
All right. So we don't need to worry about anything in there that.
Anything with the switches, as I contemplate, is not a. We're trying to keep the county out of it.
Because if it's and correct me if I'm wrong, but Ed's not part of the inter-park agreement. Is that accurate?
That's right, and we took a look at that, and that's a good point.
Right.
We took a look at that, but that inter-park agreement, most of the parties don't exist anymore. So rather than trying to resurrect that, what we contemplated was that we'll do a switching agreement between Kingsbury and JBC.
Good. I just want to make sure that with them not being part of the rest, that we're not creating anything that could be a roadblock.
Well, and when we talk about, because I think the county gets some percentage or something on per car.
That'll be the relationship between JBC and the county.
Okay. Yeah. So we're trying to stay out of that, but then there will be a monetary agreement between, as I contemplated, between JBC and Kingsbury.
Right.
Between the switches, car storage, all that. But that's not, if we're trying to keep the redevelopment commission out of that, because I just don't think it contributes to anything, because really the players are gonna be running this.
I just wanted to try and head something off if there was a possibility for
Yeah.
something. I didn't want to see any problems down the
And
road.
I don't wanna speak for,
And Randy, that's the reason why we discussed 100 years.
Correct.
We don't want another political body to come in here
Change things.
and change things around.
Okay.
And that's the reason why.
yeah, and the status of the easement, I think we agreed on the language. The
Yeah.
reason I don't have a full easement here is I have all the legals, but when I was working on it, we did them one by one, so I asked Jim Kyle, give me just a bundle of legals so I know I'm not missing anything, because so many lawyers think they're surveyors in this world as far as I'm concerned. So I think that's pretty much done, but we just got to get the legals attached, and Jim will have that to me in a couple days.
So in reality, if JBC or Lindbergh has a hiccup, it's against themselves, it's not involved the county at all.
Correct, because I mean,
We get any money out of the storage of freight cars out there at all? Are we getting anything out of it?
that would be I think so, that would be,
Excuse me, hey Doug. You will get a storage fee for any cars that are stored on the county track.
Okay.
But as far as a pass-through, you're gonna have a deal with CSX, per car that comes across there after the switch goes in. It'll come to us and then we will pay the county.
Okay, all right.
But as far as,
On the CSX side though, not the state.
right, but as far as the grain elevator, Ed and ourselves, we'll work a switching agreement out with Ed. So,
Quite honestly, with you having
needs
the
us
land
for his
to park
unit
these
train.
freight cars on, Ed's gotta have you involved with the CN, right?
right.
Need the room.
And we've already told Ed we're gonna add, probably about 600 more car spots, in Midwest, to help him store his grain cars.
So
So,
you think this will kick off CSX then? Think
Big
they'll be
time.
next, hopefully?
big time.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Very
we
good.
have, we have two big customers out of St. Louis that are all set to sign as soon as there's movement on the switch. So we're ready. It's been 18 years.
Sure has.
Remember, Joe?
Sure has.
Yeah. So
Well, we want you to be successful in the county. If you're successful, it's gonna help the county residents of LaPorte County. That's a good
Right,
thing.
yeah.
That's why we're all here. So,
but I
thank
think
you.
if you recall back in Dave Decker's days, and this would help Ed, all the millings the county gets, we were granted that. We never participated in that. So I don't know if that would still be available. If there's millings the county does not use,
Right.
it would help in the construction of Ed's portion and whatever else we need them for.
It'd be something to look at for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Tony from Anacostia had some questions, I assume about process, how it worked. And if you'll indulge him to come up and ask the body, because as everybody's aware, Anacostia serves the park now. They come in from Stillwell and they come down through the park and they serve people out there. So Tony, have at it or ask some questions.
Thank you.
Yep.
Tony Kazakevich, the Chicago South Shore South Bend Railroad. Not wanting to get in the middle of anything, but we would like to see these engineered drawings just so we have an understanding of where the trains are going to go, because we still do want to serve JBC, Precoat, and Alexander. We're just kind of concerned about how many hands are going to be in that kitty moving cars around and when they're going to be moving around. So I guess we'd like to see the drawings and then talk to JBC or whoever about the operations plan down there. That's it.
We're only gonna have one switch.
Let me cover that real quick. There's one entity via the agreement as a switcher, that's JBC, and the only other entity pursuant to the agreement is you. So that's it in the park. And we maintain that, and that's how it was always set up to be, that we're not being exclusive. But in order to get the county out of the business, a little bit of the business and responsibility for insurance and maintenance and so on, that's why the switcher and switcher agreement was put in place, just so you're aware. So, but to be clear, they have the right via the agreement, just like this body was created to move through the park. and they would continue their agreements with their clients and so on, and be competitive with whatever, whatever they do and their clients within the park.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes.
Yeah, because we have a motion and a second on the floor to approve Joe Corr's motion there. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The motion passes unanimously. Okay, any other business to come before the group today?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, since we have the rail committee here, I'll give you a brief update on the bridge and the CSX. The bridge project was awarded to the switcher as a continuation of their previous project, and the county agreed to assist by front funding the money. We worked our way through the processes. There should be a check cut on August 4th to go directly to JBC Rail so that they can pay the contractor and start the project. On August 18th, there'll be a check written for $225,000 to CSX so they can start with the switch. So they should all both begin in August with their construction portions of the project. And then, just so that the group's aware, there's the similar agreement that CSX has with JBC as the switcher on their end, as Doug was proposing them doing on the other end. So we're being consistent, and it's working directly with the Class 1 carriers and removing the county body from that process, which is why we have a switcher.
Okay.
That's all I have.
Okay. Any other business?
Just out of curiosity, what's the time frame for completing this stretch and then the bridge? I mean,
The switch will be.
not the switch. I think you gotta come up here, Jim. But I mean, for what Ed's talking about doing, the CN, to get all the way in towards you.
The bridge itself will take 5 to 10 days. And then we have the track delay on either side. We've got Ed's portion, which is going to take more fill in front of Markman Pete. And then from the bridge going east to Alexander and then tie in with the other one. The ballast is down there right now. It's just a matter of laying rail.
Do you think
Ed's will be the
year?
longer portion because he takes a lot of fill in there.
So by the end of the year?
I would say the CN will definitely be by the end of the year, and CSX will be. We were in Jacksonville last week, and they're supposed to send a crew. Hopefully, there's no derailments on their system before that, but they're looking to start on the 16th of August to put the switch in.
Right.
And that's a 2-week project.
Great.
So we can start rolling on that and let all the customers know.
It's good news.
Yeah,
Great.
great.
Thank you.
So,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
Any other business to come before the group?
We just want to make sure there's an engine to pull across so that we can,
Yeah, we're gonna have to have a ribbon cutting.
I don't care if it's steam or if it's whatever.
Okay, hearing nothing else, motion for adjournment.
So move.
Second.
Adjourned. Thank you for coming.